Please be seated. Mr. Kaiser, your continued direct, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective, I'm going to ask Sergeant Hart to bring you up Exhibit 22 so I can ask you about it in relation to the work that you did with Dr. Mills in September of 2018, just to be sure we have it all straight. Exhibit 22 is what you're holding, is that right?
Yes, it is.
And you recognize that as being the firearm that you saw on the lower level counter of the kitchen island at 1489 142nd Street, is that right?
Yes.
In September of 2018 with Dr. Mills, what, if anything, did you do with the Taurus PT 709 that you're holding, Exhibit 22?
We test fired this particular weapon.
What's on that weapon that secures it for our purposes here today in court?
It is a trigger lock.
Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 66 for identification. Could you tell us if you recognize, actually, it's admitted. Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 66. Could you tell us what that item is, please?
Yes, these are spent shell casings from that firing.
Where did you get those shell casings from that you used in September of 2018?
They were in a drawer next to where the holster was found.
Without going back and looking at it, Detective, do you recall being with us here in court, because you sat through the whole trial, right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall being with us here in court when Investigator Demling identified a magazine in the nightstand drawer to the left of the bed as one looks at the bed?
Yes.
All right. Is the magazine that is Exhibit 66 with those spent cartridges the magazine that was loaded found in that drawer?
Yes.
All right. Now, again, as Investigator Demling testified, when that magazine was found in that drawer, it was loaded. In other words, those were unspent cartridges. Is that correct?
Yes.
What was your purpose in using that ammunition in September of 2018?
Those were the rounds or cartridges that were in that magazine found in the nightstand.
And that magazine had the same make and model, has been proved here in court to have fit the pistol, is that correct?
Yes.
So was your goal to get a test fire as close as possible to what would have come out of that firearm in the early morning hours of April 14th, 2018?
Yes, it is.
All right. And I asked you earlier, and I forget what your answer was. Where did you actually do the shooting?
It was done at the Ramsey County firing range in St. Paul.
Who was there with you when you did that?
Investigator Demling, Dr. Mills, Dr. McGee, the range master for the range, and one of their assistants. I believe it was Tiffany. I'm not positive on that. Tiffany? I'm sorry.
An assistant from the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's Office?
Yes.
All right. Who's Dr. McGee?
Dr. McGee is, he was head of the Ramsey County Medical Examiner's Office.
Detective, asking you to look in the box I just brought up at Exhibit 157. Without opening it, are you able to recognize what that exhibit is?
Yes.
What is it?
These are the targets that we fired at, did the test firing.
And Exhibit 157, what was the distance of the test fire that 157 belongs to?
3 inches.
Exhibit 158, what was the distance of that target?
I'm sorry, I have to stand up.
Yep.
5 inches.
Exhibit 159, what was the distance of that target?
6 inches.
Exhibit 160, what was the different distance of that target?
7 inches.
Exhibit 161, what was the distance of that target?
8 inches.
And Exhibit 162, what was the distance of that target?
9 inches.
So that would have been 7 shots, is that correct?
6, I believe.
6 shots. Are you the one who packaged all those?
Yes.
Without removing the packaging, are you aware that they are in the same or substantially the same condition as when the gunshots were fired at them?
Yes.
Move Exhibits 157 through 162 into evidence.
No objection.
Received.
Detective, based on that examination in September of 2018, what conclusion was reached regarding the range of fire of the pistol from Chase Fleichauer in the early morning hours of April 14th of 2018?
Approximately 5 to 6 inches.
Actually, no. I just need the holster, but I don't know what the holster is. It's like 64, 65, right? Showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 65 for identification. It's in evidence. Showing us been marked as Exhibit 65. Can you tell us if you recognize what that is, please?
Yes.
What is it?
It is a soft pistol case
Where was it recovered?
that was recovered in a nightstand drawer next to a bed.
Next to the magazine that we just talked about?
Next to the magazine, correct.
Exhibit 22 that we've observed, the Taurus PT 709. What, if anything, did you do with that pistol in relation to the holster?
I placed the pistol in the holster, and it fit the holster.
Forgot to ask you one question, Detective. As we saw in the pictures that were part of Dr. Mills's PowerPoint, she had a ruler in her hand, is that correct?
Yes,
Who was actually firing the pistol?
I was.
And you were firing Exhibit 22, the PT 709 that was on the counter when you first went into the house?
Yes.
Investigator, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Mr. Gray.
Thank you, Your Honor. First, let's try and clear something up. You said that the walking down the hallway towards the master bedroom, that the dogs were on the left,
Yes.
and that would be Kayle Fleischauer's bedroom,
Yes.
and the dogs weren't on the other side?
No.
At what time did you do that?
I believe it was between 6 and 6:30
Okay,
a.m.
and did you change that at all? Did you bring the dogs and put them over on the other room?
No.
Did anybody in your presence do that?
No.
And when you left there, the place was sealed, correct?
Yes.
And then as I remember it, in the afternoon, the seal was broke and the deputy picked up the dogs and they took the dogs away, correct?
The seal was secured. There was no seal. I'm sorry.
I apologize. The house was secured,
Correct.
and at some point in time, later in the afternoon, I can't remember exactly what time, a individual yesterday testified that they picked up the dog.
Yes.
And they testified that the dogs were in the right-hand room.
Objection, no foundation.
I'm
That's-
trying to
Well,
refresh you.
sustained as to the form of the question.
All right. If you were told that another witness testified that the dogs were in the other room and not the master bedroom, would that refresh your memory as to where they were?
Objection.
Do you understand the question, investigator?
No, not totally, no.
Okay, well,
If you could ask it again, please.
pardon me?
If you could ask it again, please.
Yeah, sure. If you were told that another law enforcement officer, actually two of them, testified that the two dogs, there were two dogs, right? Or one?
2.
That the two dogs, when they recovered them, going into the house after it was not sealed, what do you call it?
Secured.
Secured.
Secured, yes.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
When it was secured, and they took the two dogs out of the bedroom on the right, not in the master bedroom. Would that refresh your memory that maybe the dogs were in the right hand and not the left?
Objection, there's no memory needing to be refreshed.
Okay,
Thank you.
that's fine. So you, now, you testified, we'll go through this, try to get through this as quickly as
Okay.
possible. You testified in high school, you were a football wrestler and a track participant,
Yes.
and that would be high school wrestling, right?
Yes.
And did you do any college wrestling?
No.
Okay, did you do any professional wrestling?
No.
In the wrestling that you did in high school, I'm assuming you weren't under the influence at all, correct?
Correct.
But, and also the wrestling in high school, that's a wrestling on a mat, correct?
Yes.
And high school wrestling, you're not allowed to pick somebody up and throw them down, correct?
No, that's not necessarily true.
Well, what, are you allowed to pick somebody up and throw them on the ground in high school wrestling?
Maybe not throw, you can take them down.
Yeah, I said throw. You throw them down on the ground. Can you do that?
There are throws in wrestling, yes.
Pardon me?
There are throws in wrestling.
Okay, well, let's get to the professional wrestling. Is there a difference between professional wrestling and high school wrestling?
Yes.
And I'm talking, okay, I'm talking about WWE, you know, the showman. You're aware of what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
And you see in that professional wrestling that they're getting thrown all over the place, correct?
Yes.
Thrown off the mat onto the floor, correct?
Yes.
And the, if there was wrestling in this case, or if there was, yeah, it would have been on a hard floor, correct?
Objection assumes a fact not in evidence and foundation.
Well, let me put it this way.
Thank you.
Did you ever see a mat in Mr. Fleischauer's home?
No.
And were the floors in the basement hard floors? Did you go out and look at them?
From what I recall, I don't remember being down there.
Okay. And you were here, investigator or private citizen, Demule, is that how you pronounce it? Demule?
Demoling.
Demule, thank you. When he was here, and do you agree with his testimony that you were with him when you determined to get the search warrant for DNA, gunshot residue, and blood?
Yes.
And that would be in the morning hours of the 14th, correct?
Yes.
And The handgun that you're, I'll break that in, I don't need to ask that. Now, do you recall about what time the video was taken of my client when the swabbing of the hands were done by the nurse? Approximately the time?
Approximately, and this is just an approximate, 2:30, between 1:30 and 2:30?
Okay. And that would be after he had been in the custody of the St. Croix County deputies for about 9.5 hours, correct?
Approximately, yes.
And during that 9.5 hours, he was in observation, watching him so that his hands aren't washed, correct?
Objection to compound question.
It is compound. Ask it as two, Mr. Gray.
Okay, well, was he in observation by the deputies for those 9.5 hours?
No.
When wasn't he? When wasn't he in observation? I'll withdraw that question. Have you reviewed the video of my client?
Yes.
And how long is that?
And this is approximate, between 5 and maybe 7 hours.
And that video was taken at the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office or jail or wherever it was?
Yes.
And prior to that, there was another 4 hours, or approximately 4 hours, where he spent in a squad car at his home, right?
It wasn't 4 hours. I recall about 3.
3. And during that time, he was handcuffed?
Yes.
And with respect to his hands, the pictures, the photographs of his hands, there was blood on them, right?
Yes.
And these pictures of his hands were taken when? Approximately?
Again, approximate 1:30, between 1:30 and 2:30.
All right. Do you remember were they before or after his hands were swabbed for GSR?
I don't recall.
But it was around the same time.
Within that time frame, yes.
And you testified that you received the consent of Summer Fleischauer to take certain samples from her. Could you tell us what those were again?
Swabs
Yes, yeah, of what?
of her hands. I'm sorry.
Yes, what was that sample for?
It was for DNA.
All right. Did you ever take a swab of her hand for GSR?
I swabbed for DNA and believed I could utilize those for GSR as well.
Okay, so when you did the swabbing, you separated the swabs afterwards and sent some to the DNA office and some to the GSR office?
No, I took the swabs, put them into evidence, then they were later split.
Okay, did you do that?
Yes.
And you sent some of these swabs to the crime lab in Madison, correct?
Yes.
And that would be for the DNA testing?
Yes.
And you sent some of the swabs to the R.J. Lee Company in Pennsylvania, and that would be for the GSR testing, correct?
Yes.
And I think that's in evidence, the report back from R.J. Lee Company on gunshot residue on Summer Fleischauer was it?
Objection, that is not in evidence.
Sustained unless you can produce an exhibit, Mr. Gray.
Okay, that's all right. Withdraw the question. I'm going to show you I'm going to show you Exhibit 321 and ask if you can identify that.
Yes.
And what is it?
It is a report from a group, or an agency called R.G. Lee.
Yeah, it's a report about whom?
Summer.
My assistant is more methodical than I am. It's about Summer and who else?
And Kayle.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
We offer Exhibit 321 in the evidence.
For the record, it's a certified copy of a previously entered court document, and we have no objection.
Thank you, received.
All right. And in this document, Kayle Fleischauer and Summer Fleischauer, there were no gunshot residue on either one's samples, correct?
Correct.
Now, did we offer this, Your Honor, I think?
It has been offered and received.
Now, on Chase Fleichauer, his hands were sent, his samples were sent in a different manner, but they were sent to the same company, correct?
Correct.
And his samples showed, I believe it was 21 particles of GSR with 3 elements in them, and 17 particles of GSR with 2 elements. Does that refresh your memory?
That sounds correct, yes.
And at the time, the pictures of the hands of my client, show you this one. That was taken at what time approximately?
Again, it would be between that 1:30 and 2:30 mark. That's pure estimate.
That was in the afternoon?
Yes.
And there's still blood on his hands, correct?
Yes.
So it would be an indication, would it not, that he never washed his hands between the time that he was handcuffed until this picture, correct?
Objection calls for the officer to make a conclusion for the jury to
Thank
make.
you. Sustained. As to the form of the question,
Officer, you were the head investigator here. Was there a directive to watch Kayle Fleischauer so he does not wash his hands?
No.
No. Was he on video for the entire time he was in that interview room?
Yes.
And for the entire time in the interview room, which was, I believe you said approximately 5 hours?
Yeah, approximately. I don't know the exact time, no.
And he was never seen in that interview room washing his hands, correct?
No.
well, again, negative question, negative answer. You might want to.
Correct. Am I correct in saying that?
Can you repeat that, I guess?
Sure.
I think we got tangled a little bit.
He wasn't observed washing his hands while he was in that interview room for the 5 hours.
No, not in that interview room.
Well, was he observed anyplace else washing his hands?
No.
And you took Kayle Fleischauer's clothing, is that right?
Yes.
And Were there any testing done on that clothing you took from him, from his person at the jail?
No, not that I recall.
I have a few questions. Other investigation you did in this case, you interviewed Fleischauer on 2 occasions that I'm going to get into. One is April 14th and one is April 16th. In connection with the April 14th, and this is page 8, did Fleischauer tell you that she believed her father was too drunk to call that morning?
Could I review that transcript,
Yes,
please?
I got it yellowed here.
Just for the record, could it reflect whether we're looking at a police report or a transcript?
We're looking at a transcript,
Okay, thank you.
page 8,
Thank you.
April 14th.
She did make a statement to that effect,
Did she
but
also
stated
tell
she
you-
didn't know.
Excuse me?
There's also a line beneath her that she didn't know.
She, answer my, Your Honor, would you instruct the witness to answer my question?
Thank you, and investigator, if you'll just answer the question that was put to you, and then Mr. Kaiser can follow up. To the question again, Mr. Gray?
Thank you. She also told you that she was the one that opened the door to let Sergeant Sather in, correct?
Yes.
And again, on page 14.
Sorry, foundation as to which interview?
Is this the April?
one.
Thank you.
On page 14, 3 lines up, or 3 paragraphs, or up from the bottom, talking about calling 911. What did she say there?
And which line again? I'm sorry, because there's several of them.
This right here.
She did mention he was drunk.
And she was describing he was drunk, the reason being that he couldn't get into a cell phone, correct?
Objection forward with question.
Sustained. If you want to show them the transcript again, and
Yes. Was she referring to the 911 call and her father's state at that time?
Yes.
And did she also tell you in that interview that she was drunk at the time she heard the chair fall, or she heard the noise upstairs?
Yes.
And did she also tell you, page 20, that the gun was stashed on top of the fridge.
Objection foundation as to whether she said she saw it or was told it.
Thank you, and again,
Okay, I'm sorry,
this
you're
is
right.
cross-examination, so if he doesn't recall, then show him the transcript. Do you recall, investigator, what she said exactly about the gun?
There was a statement made about a gun being on the refrigerator.
Okay, did she say that her father told her that he had stashed a gun on top of the refrigerator?
Yes.
And did you say to her, well, he said he has guns ready in case somebody comes in? And do you remember her agreeing with that? And that he had that gun up there for house protection?
Yes.
And did she also tell you, this is page 28. Well, before that, page 22, she also told you that she was not aware of any fights between her father and her brother during the time growing up, correct?
Yes.
Page 28. Did she also tell you that she told her dad to get some towels, and he went and got some towels?
Yes.
Now, you interviewed her again on April 16th, right?
Yes.
And on that interview, page 6, she again said that when she was upstairs, she was really drunk. Is that right?
I don't recall that statement.
That what, John?
Yes.
Yes.
She again told you on that interview, page 12, that her father told her that the gun was on top of the fridge. Is that right?
Yes.
And it was there so that the Iraqis, if they come, he has protection, correct?
Yes.
And she also told you that after she went to bed, she heard no arguments upstairs. Fair statement?
She did hear some things upstairs, and I don't remember exactly how she phrased that.
Do you remember asking her the question, there was no argument about politics other than your discussion? And she said, no, not that I heard them having, no. Let me, what, Your Honor?
Yes.
I gotta. No.
What do you mean by no? She didn't say that?
No argument about politics.
Okay. And what she said was just that they were talking really loud, right?
Right.
Okay. She also said at some point in time that when her brother and her father get drunk, they talk loud, correct?
Yes, there was some mention about loud talk.
I'm going to show you an exhibit, 320, and ask if you can identify.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Is that a picture of the kitchen area?
Yes.
And I'm going to show you, is it a fair and accurate description of it?
Yes.
You know, 320,
No objection.
Received.
and then I'm going to show you exhibit 322. Can you identify those two individuals?
Yes.
And who are they?
Chase Fleichauer and Kayle.
And what is Chase Fleischauer wearing?
Appears to have a uniform on,
What kind of
a football uniform.
We offer exhibit 322,
Objection foundation as to time.
Sustained.
showing you the exhibit that's into evidence. Do you see that blue and white sweater on the counter?
I'm not able to put both of them together.
You take a look at that and take a look at 322 and see if that isn't the same sweater being worn by Kayle Fleischauer.
Okay, 1 second, Judge.
Yes.
I may not be objecting, I just want to ask a couple. Thank you. We continue our objection as to foundation as to time.
And again, the question was, did he see a sweater? So the exhibit's not being received at this point. Do you see
I'm
a...
trying to establish.
And I understand, Mr. Gray, so let's just ask the question.
Can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Isn't the sweater depicted in Exhibit 320 lying on the kitchen table, the picture taken by the State Crime Lab, the same sweater, or at least a similar sweater to the sweater that Kayle Fleischauer is wearing in that picture with the son with the football uniform on?
Objection to the form of the question, there's no table in Exhibit 320.
Thank you.
Well, it's a counter. I'm sorry.
Thank you. With that additional clarification,
Thank you.
investigator.
No, I can't.
You can't say that?
No.
But you can say that in this photo, 322, it's a fair and accurate description of both Kayle Fleischauer and Chase Fleischauer together.
Objection, relevance, foundation as to time.
Sustained.
Is
Well,
there a-
as to the question,
You're
is
correct.
that what it shows?
Can you repeat the question again, your
Sure.
question?
Is that a fair and accurate portrayal of Kayle Fleischauer and Chase Fleischauer with a football uniform on by Chase Fleischauer?
Yes.
offer.
Objection. Foundation is the time, therefore relevant.
Sustained.
Your Honor,
Whoa.
approach.
No.
Okay.
Question?
Can I give it one more attempt?
Yes.
What does it say on the uniform of Chase Fleichauer?
Titans.
And do you know what the nickname is of Tartan High School?
No.
You don't?
No.
Okay. I want to show you Exhibit 319.
Thank you.
And can you identify that photo from the state crime lab?
Yes.
And what is it a photo of?
A photo of a bedroom.
Okay, and do you see any doggy bed in there?
I do not.
And based on your walkthrough, is that the master bedroom?
Yes.
And we would offer 319.
No objection.
Received.
And in 319, I'm going to put this up,
Was 320 received?
and this would have been taken when the crime lab was there. I'm going to put this up here. Can we see that?
I'd prefer he asked the officer if it was taken when the crime lab was there rather than testifying to it.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
So what does it say on the bottom of this?
Wisconsin State Crime Laboratory.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, looking at this photo,
And they're going to get the lights.
is there a way of
Yes, we're-
zeroing in on that nightstand?
Counsel, what you have to do is you have to turn this dial here,
Oh, okay.
and if you turn it to the right, it'll come in eventually.
Good, thank you.
And then go back to the left and it'll move away.
Is that the clearer you can get it, or? There we go. Okay. We see that, can you see that? We see that nightstand, and is there a towel hanging off the corner of that nightstand?
Yes, there appears to be, I can't say for sure if it's a towel.
It's some kind of cloth hanging over the side corner of the nightstand, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. And showing you this is that nightstand where the holster was found, correct?
Yes.
We've offered 319 if I have.
It has been offered and received.
All right.
You want to catch the lights?
Thank you, Detective. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Kaiser.
Thank you, Judge. Detective, recall, you were shown page 8 of the transcript of your interview with Summer Johnson Fleischauer from April 14th of 2018.
Yes.
Recall that? And you were asked what it was that Ms. Johnson Fleischauer said about the defendant's condition when he had his phone. Is that correct?
Correct.
I asked you to read to yourself just below the line, and that is the same line that counsel asked you to review?
Yes.
All right. Now, did Ms. Johnson Fleischauer tell you that he was too drunk to get into his phone, or did she tell you that she thought he was too drunk to get into his phone?
Thought he was too drunk to get into the phone.
So she didn't tell you she knew?
Correct.
One second. You have exhibit 321. Thanks very much. It's admitted, is that correct? All right. Detective, investigator, I'm sorry. In Exhibit 321, in the bottom lower right-hand corner of the exhibit, are there some long, like what would appear to be page numbers?
Yes.
And just because I want you to read something, but I need you to take a moment to tell me as you page through it from beginning to end, are those page numbers in order?
Appears to be two different reports.
So I'm going to ask you just to look at the page numbers at the bottom. And I'm going to ask you, because this is in evidence, to...
Excuse me, Your Honor, may we approach?
Sure.
Thank you, Judge. Detective, for the record, as this is an exhibit, would you go to the bottom of the page with that small number at the bottom that's labeled 787? You see that? And if you can't see the little numbers at the bottom, let me know.
I see 786 on the first page. And I can't tell on the second page.
So on the bottom of this page, can you see that it says
Oh,
787?
I'm sorry. Yes.
And you see where it says the word qualifiers?
Yes.
All right. It is in evidence, so I'm asking to publish to the jury.
Yes.
Thank you. And this, as you indicated in answer to counsel's questions, this is a report, a document you received from R.J. Lee. Well, that's not going to work. I think it was okay, better the first time. Thanks. From R.J. Lee.
Well, I'm not convinced that's better, so let's shut the lights off, and I appreciate everyone helping, but I control the lights.
Thank you, I'm sorry.
Mr. Kaiser, question.
Thank you. The document you got from the company that tested the GSR samples that you sent in, that you took yourself from Summer Johnson Fleischauer and that you saw taken from Kayle Fleischauer, what's the first qualifier about those GSR test results?
Two components and one component particles are found in GSR, but may also originate from other sources.
And what's the two lines above that?
Kayle Fleischauer?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh.
You see the word qualifiers?
Yes.
Awesome. Can you read me the next two lines under the word qualifiers?
Okay, I'm sorry. GSR can be deposited by circumstances such as discharging a firearm, being in proximity of discharging a firearm, or coming into contact with a surface/object that has GSR on it.
And the next qualifier after that is what?
Two component and one component particles are found in GSR, but may also originate from other sources.
Now, would you then look at what it is in the little, and now you won't be able to see it because it's too dark. Can you see at the bottom of this page of Exhibit 321 that it has the page designation 788?
Correct.
All right, so can you read us then the third qualifier of the test results regarding Summer Johnson Fleischauer, and Kayle Fleischauer, which would be the top line on what is page 788.
The absence of GSR does not eliminate the possibility that the subject handled or discharged a firearm.
Thank you.
Turn it back on, please.
You've been asked about how the defendant was managed in a squad car at or around the scene. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, you didn't do that yourself personally, is that right?
Correct.
But to your best of your knowledge, what, if anything, did Deputy Proschak do with the defendant in terms of whether or not he was handcuffed?
He had moved the handcuffs from the back to the front.
When, if at any time, were the handcuffs removed?
They were removed at,
And I don't need the time, I just need the place, the circumstances.
they were moved at the St. Croix County Sheriff's Office.
Here, when you got to
When
this
you got,
building?
yes.
All right. Now, you indicated earlier that he was provided a glass of water. What, if any, other personal comfort opportunities was the defendant allowed?
Allowed to use the bathroom.
Do you guys have video recording devices in the bathroom?
No.
To the best of your knowledge, did anyone accompany him to the bathroom?
He would have been accompanied, but not inside the bathroom.
Okay. Not sure I understand that. To the door of the bathroom, is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Kind of like what you did with Summer.
Yes.
All right. And then when you were asked questions earlier about, I don't know, I think the phrase that was used was in observation. What did you understand that to mean when you were asked that question earlier, in observation?
That somebody was personally watching him at all times.
And your answer to that question is what?
No, they were not.
So other than the bathroom, how, if in any way, was there a preservation of the defendant's circumstances?
Yes, the camera footage inside the interview room was preserved.
To the best of your knowledge, was there anyone assigned to watch monitors of that camera footage the entire time the defendant was present?
No.
Once the defendant was out of the squad car, unhandcuffed, and in that interview room, was his movement, other than being in the interview room, restricted in any way?
No.
Besides having wrestled in high school, had you also been a coach?
Yes.
Thanks, investigator. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. Mr. Gray?
Yes, you were just asked, was Kayle Fleischauer his movement restricted in any way? And you said it wasn't, correct?
Correct.
So if he wanted to just leave, you would have let him leave?
That wasn't the question.
Well, again, this is cross-examination, so you can answer.
No.
He couldn't leave?
No.
Okay, so his movement was restricted, correct?
Yes.
And the pictures of his hands with the blood on them, they were taken shortly before the swabbing for GSR, correct?
Don't recall exactly when those photos would have been
All right. You
taken.
said shortly before.
I don't recall the exact time the pictures were taken. I'm sorry.
But in any event, when the pictures were taken, there's blood on them, which would be an indication they were never washed, correct?
I can't answer that.
You don't know if the hands were washed or not?
I do not.
That's all I have.
Nothing else?
Thank you. Stand down, investigator. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a recess. Don't form any opinions. Any discussion?